Welcome to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. I'm Bernie Flowers, one of Uncle Sam's wayward children. I believe that our country's best days are still in front of us, but if those best days are to come, we need to change the direction of the country now, before it's too late. I intend to talk about important issues and topics every week in hopes of helping to improve our country and our way of life. Please like, share, and subscribe. Our guest for episode 57 is Mr. Cameron Pereira. Cameron is a young conservative with a passion for politics. Before getting involved, he enlisted in the United States Air Force, where he met his wife, Raven. His time in the Air Force provided valuable insights into the operations and infrastructure of the current military and how dysfunctional it has become. Now Cameron spends his time serving his church, working with local political candidates, and earning a degree at the University of Maryland. With this degree, he hopes to pursue a career in real estate to support his family and eventually run for political office. Cam, how you been?
I'm doing good, Bernie. How are you?
I am outstanding. I got a few questions I'd like to ask you from your perspective. I really got a lot of respect for you. So would you mind if I ask a few questions of you?
Absolutely. I respect you too, Bernie. So whatever you got, I'm ready.
All right, brother. Here we go. First, how did you get into politics?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. I'll try to keep it short. So I remember back in high school, I was a sophomore, I think, before I really started paying attention to politics. And it was when I was in my psychology class. I was taking psychology, and we had to do a project on some sort of controversial topic, and I can't remember exactly what the parameters were, but I partnered with a friend of mine who sat right behind me, and we were supposed to create a new bill, and our bill was about banning abortions. And the backlash we got from that for the rest of the class was ridiculous. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, is this really my generation? Is this where we're going? Keep in mind, I went to high school in Las Vegas, of all places. So that's Sin City. The kids out there, yeah, they're involved in some pretty crazy stuff. So after that, I started paying close attention. I got involved not involved, but I started listening to some podcasts. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar. Daily Wire, I listen to them a lot. And that's when I started listening to them more. And then the 2016 election came around, and I remember paying close attention to that election. And my mom and I had a running bet. She voted for Trump, but she thought Hillary was going to get it, and I was like, I don't know, Mom. I think Trump is going to get it. So we had a bet going, and I won. So, but yeah, no, I wasn't able to really get involved a lot out in Vegas, and then I joined the Air Force, and there's no real flexibility there to run for political office or campaign or be an activist. So. It actually wasn't until I left the Air Force and my wife and I moved out here to Maryland that a good friend of mine, Frank Casella, he got me involved. We had a discussion, and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Who do I go talk to? How do I find these people? And he showed me the website and where you can go to find all of the candidate information and their phone numbers and all of that sort. And so I found everybody that was running out here in Maryland from the Senate to the House of Representatives, and I think I sent an email to every single one of them, and the only person to respond promptly and actually was able to set up a meeting and continue to keep in contact was Antonio Pitoco. So I joined his campaign team when I lived out in Columbia, and I helped with door knocking and went to a lot of events, so I got a little bit more involved. I met a lot of people on the Howard County Central Committee and a lot of the presidents of the clubs out there. And, it's a congressional District 3, so that includes Anne Arundel County. So I got involved with the Anne Arundel County Central Committee and some of the clubs out here, because I'm now in Glen Burnie. And so ever since then, I try to be as involved as I can. I'm not always present, especially now that I have a little guy. But I try to be there when I can, and now I'm here for you, Bernie.
And I'm happy that you are. Got another question for you. You ready?
Yes, sir.
You're a new husband and a new father. You are a traditionalist. Tell us about how you and your wife managed to thrive in the face of, challenges to the traditional family in this modern world we live in.
Well, really it's a matter of faith. My wife and I are both Christians, and we stick to the Word of God as best as we can. We all fall short, but where we can, it's very important to follow the teachings of Jesus and how he teaches us to display our marriage and interact with each other in a marriage. And I think that's important, especially when you consider how today's world would have people behave in these kinds of relationships. We're on the verge of the extinction of marriage, it seems.
Shame.
It is, and I see 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds who are single, wondering what went wrong. Raven and I, when we met in the Air Force, it didn't take me long to realize that she was the one, and we realized that once we started dating and we solidified that bond, that connection of, okay, this is who we are, this is what we believe. We figured, well, all these people tell you date 5 years, date 10 years, date 15 years. You want to make sure that that's the right person, or you want to date around, make sure that there's not anybody else out there. And we didn't see the point in that. So I think we were dating for about a year, a little over a year before we got married. And we were married for a little over a year before she got pregnant. We figured, start having kids young.
You got pregnant by herself?
Yeah, just all by herself. I had no part in it whatsoever.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to go there, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I throw you off, man. Keep on talking.
No, that's okay. No, it's funny. Yeah, no, that's we got involved in our church as soon as we could, and we try to be involved with that community there, because you surround yourself with the people that you want to be like. That's important.
There you go.
And those people really influence you. And if you're surrounding yourself with people that don't partake in that lifestyle or don't have those beliefs, then it's not very healthy. So that's the secret, I guess.
You married well, and I'm very proud of both of you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask you another question?
Absolutely.
Tell us about your new son. What do you see as the obstacles that he's going to face as he grows up and matures?
Well, my little son is almost 6 months old now. So he's getting old. A short story that I find a little funny. When he was born, the nurse came in about 30 minutes afterward, and she said, he's 30 minutes old. How time flies. And I laughed so hard at that. Not because I didn't think it was true, but it's like 30 minutes, really. But, you think in terms of how long he's been alive, that's a lot for him. Well, not alive. not alive, born.
There you
He's
go.
been alive a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
Um, but no, so we live in an age of technology, right? And Raven and I, we know technology somewhat, but it keeps evolving and it keeps evolving, and there seems to be an agenda behind that, where, I don't know if you saw Apple's recent, um, what was it, their advertisement for their new iPad, where they're essentially destroying all aspects of civilization and compacting it into this iPad. Um, it was a very odd advertisement, and they got a lot of backlash for that. But it shows the truth of where technology is going. We're trying to cram all of life's experiences into one handheld device,
Wow.
and part of the danger of that is the access that children have. I mean, I know kids that are like 10, 11, 12, and they were gaining access to pornography, and it's awful.
Modern
And we
day.
see we see
Terrible.
these states that are coming out with legislation that is requiring Pornhub to verify the age of the viewer before they can watch, and Pornhub removes their services from that state. So it makes you wonder what their agenda is. Um, that's part of it, and also we have these predators online. The Democrats will tell us that there's no predators there. They're all happy, and they want to help the kids. And yeah, sure, buddy, sure. I'll tell you a story about my wife. When she was a kid, she was homeschooled, and so she spent a lot of time on her computer, and she eventually came across it was like a social network. I can't remember exactly what the name of the platform is, but she, without realizing it, started getting groomed by another person who was trying to teach her. I mean, and think about this. This was over a decade ago. They were trying to teach her about um, no contact, and that if she needs a real family, she can run away and go and live with that person. And um, she's a young kid at that point, so it's really easy to manipulate children like that, because children are malleable. They're still developing, and these people know it, and they know that they can take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And it's gross. It's disgusting, and that's something that I see as a major challenge with Noah. Obviously, we see these iPad babies. We see the parents that'll give their 3-year-old an iPad or an iPhone, and we, in every regard, disagree with that,
Yeah.
100%. Noah will not be having. Sorry, Noah's the little baby. Noah's the 6-month-old. I realized I didn't tell you all his name. Um, he will not be receiving, an iPad, an iPhone, anything like that. He doesn't need it as a kid. You
Yeah.
know, we plan on taking care of him in that way. We know, obviously you don't want to shelter a kid too much. He's got to experience the world, in some aspects, but in others, we don't need him on the internet coming across pornography or whatever else, creepy people. Um, that's just, but I think in terms of that's going to be one of the biggest challenges.
Let me throw another question at you. As a father, what do you expect from the local schools that he's going to be attending in the next few years?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't expect anything because he's not going to them.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I have firsthand seen the graphic materials that these schools are putting in their libraries. And it's funny, because I hear stories of people going in, or I see videos of people going into these Board of Education meetings, and they'll take the books that are publicly available in their school library, that their 13-year-old, their 10-year-old, their 8-year-old can take out and read on their own. And they'll read these books. These parents will read these books in these Board of Education meetings, and they'll get censored. they'll cut off their microphone. They'll tell them it's too graphic. They'll tell them to leave. And it doesn't make any sense. Why on earth would you allow this content to be in the school libraries if you cannot handle it being read at a Board of Education meeting? Exactly.
Crazy
It doesn't make any
times, man.
sense.
Makes no
Yeah,
sense.
so he will not be attending public school for the foreseeable future. I think Raven and I intend to homeschool him for a little bit. We want to build up his foundation, build up his values before we send him off to public school. We think that might be a little bit beneficial in some sense of having a multifaceted education in terms of homeschooling and then some public schooling later on, probably towards high school.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I have another question for you.
Okay.
Let's talk about child care. A lot of people are upset with the cost of child care. What do you think should be done to lower the cost of child care for regular folks?
Well, honestly, I don't know in terms of lowering the cost of child care. I think we need to make the cost of living more affordable in that sense. I mean, you look back in the 50s. I'm not saying the 50s were perfect, but I will say that you could live on a single income in a household, and not to be a traditionalist, but to be a traditionalist, your wife can stay home, cook, clean, and take care of your kids.
That was my
That,
life back in the 60s. My dad worked 35 years in a textile mill, and we had 7 people in the household, and we didn't know we were poor. We were happy.
Exactly. And you have these feminists out here that'll tell you that that's not the ideal of living, and that we need to, uplift women. And sure, women should have rights. That's great, but ultimately, when you look at the statistics of how women feel these days, they're not happy, and it's because they've lost their purpose. They want to become tycoons of industry, and they're losing their family, and they're not raising children. And Raven is a traditionalist. She wants to be the stay-at-home mom that does all these things. And it's crazy because when you say a wife can stay at home and cook and clean and be the mom, you hear these people, they get outraged, and it's ridiculous. I don't understand. No, oh no, you have to stay at home and take care of the house while the man has to go and take care of work.
Yeah.
Do you really want to switch roles? I mean, if sure, I'll stay home, and if you really want. No, I don't think that that's the way that especially biblically, that's not the role that a man or a wife should be switching. But that's what I think. I think we should have more affordability in the cost of living, because we shouldn't have to rely on childcare. It's the parents' responsibility to take care of their kid and raise their kid, and that's what we see in modern education. You send your kid to elementary school to get indoctrinated now, but before COVID, we didn't know that. Elementary was just government paid childcare. That's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
Take your kid to school, you drop them off. They have preschool or before school programs, and they have after school programs. So in case you work early, you can drop them off early, and in case you work late, you can drop them off late. Now, there's not necessarily an issue with that, but the problem is the parents weren't parenting, and now we have the behavioral issues that we see in the classrooms today, and the indoctrination that we see in the classrooms today, and that's got to stop. So ultimately, the parents need to be more involved, and unfortunately, they can't be right now, because you can't survive on a single income in this economy.
Not in Maryland.
No.
Cam, you're wise beyond your years. I've already told you that, and I'm very proud to know you. Right now, the floor is yours. Talk to the people. Tell them what's on your mind.
Well, let's see. I got a lot of things on my mind, so I'll try to narrow it down. I guess we'll go current events. Let's talk about this war between Israel and Hamas. This has been weighing on my mind a little bit recently. And I find it ridiculous and just completely outrageous that my generation and some of these new college students, they're siding with a terrorist organization. Hamas is a terrorist organization. I'm not afraid to say that. That's what it is. And October 7th was a horrendous attack against an American ally, the only Jewish state in the entire world. I mean, I talk to people sometimes, and they'll be like, "Well, the Jews got they got the land in Israel, but they keep getting kicked out of all these other countries. Don't you think the people that are getting kicked out are the issue?" I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. No. And the funny thing, though, that I see about these protests, when you watch the videos online of these people setting up these encampments at Columbia, UCLA, Yale, these people would, in all honesty, be killed within seconds of stepping foot into the Gaza Strip. I don't know how many people need to hear that in my generation. These people who identify as LGBTQ or whatever, you are not safe in Gaza, and I don't know why on earth you would support a terrorist organization that would murder you on the spot. America is one of the few countries that you can be yourself without fear of that kind of repercussion.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and it's abhorrent that these people would side with that kind of organization. So, we're letting these people, speak the mind of the Democrats. We're seeing where they're siding. We're seeing, Joe Biden walking back aid. Which, by the way, I'm old enough to remember when Donald Trump was impeached for doing the same thing to Ukraine. So the double standard is interesting. I don't know what's taken the House so long to figure out a reason to impeach this guy. There's been a million at this point, and I guess finally Israel. This war between Israel and Hamas was the straw that broke the camel's back. So let's hopefully see some change in that direction.
There you go. Kim, if people need you, how can they reach you?
Like I said, I'm out and about. I try to go to as many events as I can. So if you see me at a Republican event or a festival or a club meeting, then you can come say hi to me. You can also follow me on X. I'm at my username is at Cameron_Pereira. That's me. You'll see me. It's a picture of me and my wife. So if you want to follow me there, you can.
All right. Well, brother, I tell you what, I appreciate all your time. I think taking enough of your time tonight. Thanks so much for coming on the program. I respect you. I enjoy talking to you, and I want everybody to know how bright you are. You take care of your family, and keep being a traditionalist.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, that's about it for now. This has been the Loyal Opposition Podcast, produced in association with Liberty Arise Media, Fallback Productions, and other podcasters. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast and to this channel. Be sure to get your copy of my book, Black Values Matter, available on Amazon or as an ebook on Audible or on Apple Books. And also, remember, it's okay to disagree. But if we want our country to prosper, we must insist on unity, transparency, and civility from ourselves and our fellow citizens. Thank you for listening to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. See you next week.